Welcome back to another episode of the currently unnamed podcast. I am your co-host, Diamond Drip, and I have the wonderful Rachel with me. Say hi.
Hey guys.
And we are both very excited about, ready. Ready is a better word. We're both very ready to talk about this next topic. We find that we are in similar areas or similar situations right now when it comes to social media. And so as business owners, we know how important social media is for our business. So we thought, oh, so we all know how important social media is for our business, but we wanted to really talk about where we are right now currently and how that is showing up for us in the hopes that it will help the other solopreneurs and creatives who are tuning in with us every week, which thank you. So both of us were in a spot for our birthdays where we unplugged. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why that is so important, the importance of unplugging. But obviously, if you unplug or go offline, as some people say, you got to plug back in at some point, especially as a business owner, especially if you have both of us are five lines. Like, we are here to be of influence. Like, we can't just be in a cabin in the woods somewhere, like not sharing our gifts. I know. We can. So
Our hermit size want us to, though.
yes. So what the importance of unplugging is, we're going to talk about maybe some of the things that came up while we were unplugged, because I know we both got some clarity on some things, and then what it's like to plug back in, to come back online, and how do you navigate the overwhelm that you feel. Of course, depending on how long you were unplugged for, how do you navigate the overwhelm that you feel when you're coming back online? So typically, she who introduces then passes the mic. So, Rachel.
Oh, the joys of social media. And I'm laughing because I have had tech problems all day today. So now I'm back on my phone. So if all you see is my beautiful face here, that's all you're getting on this episode of this podcast, because for some reason my computer decides that it doesn't want to work today. Okay, and well, that's just part of me being me. So I mess with technology a lot, and it doesn't always play fair with me. But onto social media. I have a love-hate with social media, as many people do. But and I've actually been in more of the dislike, I'm not going to use the word hate, but dislike portion of it as of late. And I've done several unpluggings before. Like I did a major unplugging in 2020, not in, we all know what happened in 2020, but I literally went offline for, I think it was like 6 months. I would look at things online occasionally, maybe like once a week, twice a week. But I really didn't post anything, didn't do anything. And it was super eye-opening to me because I had a huge epiphany during it. But I had been, because we were all stuck at home, I chose to spend a lot of that time educating myself on a lot of things that I was wanting to train about anyways in different modalities. So I spent a lot of time in 2020 doing that. So I was really putting all my energy into learning these modalities and not really like growing my business or anything like that, because it was in flux at that time anyways. And I realized like people who I thought were in my sphere were no longer there, and they didn't care. Like it took, like I had a business and I had let that business die because it needed to. But I had this like sphere of influence that was, I thought I was doing a good job with it. And it took like 6 months before somebody reached out to me to ask me where I was, like 6 months. And these were people I did business with or was regular with for years. Now I'm not talking just like a couple of years. I'm talking almost like a decade. And so for to go offline and not have anybody reach out to you, it was kind of weird at the time, but it was also a great thing because I realized my validation was in the wrong place. And go back to the whole validating thing. If you haven't listened to the episode about our writing journey, that won't make a lot of sense. But I need a lot of validation because of my human design. But I need to learn. I've had to learn to get it internally. But that was that unplugging at that time. But so when I plugged back in, that was where I had to come from. This was no longer validating me, and so that's kind of been my metric when it comes to social media plugging and unplugging. Whenever I'm doing it because I need the validation, I stop. And so when I'm doing it because I know that this is part of what my journey is about and it's there to help promote my business or help other people transmute whatever they're trying to do or have transformations or whatever, then I'm good with posting and I'm good with doing that. But if I'm not in that space where I need that, or that didn't come out right, in the space where I feel like that's where my intention is coming from, and it comes in, if it does come from a place where it's for me to be validated, then I'm at the point that I don't do it anymore. And so I've kind of been, if you listen to the book process, I've had a really kind of up and down journey with that in facing some things and peeling back some of my own masks that I wear in fears and why did I not want to write for years and years and years, those types of things. And so in pulling back that mask, that vulnerable, validating person has come back in a way, in like microscopic ways. And so I really knew for me, like, especially this summer, like I really wanted to pull back again. And I really wanted to find what platforms were working for me, what platforms were where my ideal avatar client, whatever you want it to be, would be. But I also wanted to do it in a way that it was about the listener, not about me being validated. And so that's been a little bit of a trick for me as of late, to try to really like step back and not be in such the headspace that, oh, I'm just doing this because I should, but no, I'm doing it because I want to, because I want to help people, and I don't need to feel validation in order to do that. So it's been an interesting journey. So, with my birthday, that was just recently. I know I need to come back more online because I have a book coming out. I've got things that I need to get to doing. I need to get things public. And how to do that in the right headspace and in the right heart space has been the journey for me with social media. So I know that's not what everybody wants to hear with social media, but that's where I am with MySpace and social MySpace. Now that was kind of a play on words, but can we go back to the MySpace days? No, that was a lot easier, I think. But can you imagine going back to MySpace days? But no, I mean, for me, it's the other thing with it is I felt very ungrounded as of late with my writing. And so being on social media and feeling ungrounded that's where the validation for me issue is. And so when I feel really grounded is when I feel like I can do those things from my heart. That's for someone else, not for myself. And so that's been kind of the struggle with this book, is I feel very untethered and ungrounded as of late. So, I'm working on coming back onto social media more with a vengeance, and knowing and putting systems into place, because that's been the big thing, is getting those systems that some of it can be just automated, and you don't have to really worry about it all the time. You just got to worry about the responses. So for me, that's at this current standpoint, that is where I'm at with social media and how
I love that. And I love that you brought in our last episode, the author episode, about external validation, because that's an important piece. I like to call social media, unless you're really truly connecting with people like in the DMs and things like that, which in my experience, there's not a lot of that going on. Like every now and then I'll have someone hit me up and they'll be like, I'm going through this. Like, this is what's happening and you seem to have a handle on it. Can you help me with some insights or something? Like, I don't get a lot of those. So for me, I see social media oftentimes because like you, social media for me, even though I'm young, I don't really like getting on social media, but I know that I have a business. And so while I may be an introvert, my business is not. So
Right.
I am the face of my business. So I have to get out there. I have to be, saying my message and things like that. So when you talk about this piece of like external validation, like I see social media oftentimes as vanity metrics. And so because it's all about the likes, it's all about the comments, it's all about how many followers do you have. And I'm like, that ultimately means nothing at the end of the day if you're not truly connecting with people and making an impact. But I understand building a history, making sure you're consistent, making sure you're showing up. Like I get both sides of it. And so I actually didn't plan to unplug the way that I did for my birthday. Before the 2 days before I left, and I love that you brought in that piece of technology and systems, because before I made my pivot into spiritual growth coaching brand strategy, like I was labeling myself as this business and mindset coach. And so I was all about the systems. I was all about the AI. And so in that same spirit, I scheduled, I've been appearing on more podcasts lately. And so I've been repurposing those podcast videos into shorts and creating that as content. So before I left, for the 2 days, I was able to get like 29 episodes out of 2 podcasts videos. And I was able to schedule, like, I think I only still currently have like 18 left to schedule out of the ones that I pulled, but I'm scheduled out until the end of July, 1 post a day. Like at first I was driving myself insane trying to get this done in 2 days. I was trying to schedule at least 3 posts a day, like while I was gone. And then I was like, this is exhausting. I'm just going to schedule 1 post a day because that's consistency still. It may not be as much as like they say you need to be there, but hey, one a day is fine with me. So I had planned to post on my birthday. Like, I think I did post a picture, and I planned to take pictures while I was away. And like, just throughout the day, if I didn't get to it, I at least had the video going out. But if I did get to it, then I would just have like extra pictures and bring people in. And when I got into vacation mode, I was like, because I knew that if I posted on my actual birthday, everyone was going to be on that post. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want the pressure of feeling like I have to respond to these notifications today. And so for that purpose, I didn't post except for whatever I had scheduled. And it was so liberating. And so I thought we were going to start with the importance of unplugging first, but we're here now. So it's cool. We'll circle back to that. But that there was so much clarity in that time. And so now coming back, like realizing, okay, you were just gone for 4 days. Like to the outside world, it didn't look like you were gone. But to the people who DM'd you, to the people who commented on things, like I'm usually really good getting back to people. And I think like what you were saying about the external validation, social media brings out the people pleaser in me. Because I know if I were to write a comment on, like if I were to wish someone love, or if I were to write a meaningful comment on someone's post, or even send them a message, not so much now, but like the old me would have expected a response back. Like, I sent you love. Like, and some people are like that. And so because I don't know who is like that and who's not like that, I try and do a really good job of responding back to comments. And then of course, when I bring in my marketing brain, I'm like, the algorithm, if I don't respond back, the algorithm's going to ding me and then it's not going to show my stuff. And I start getting in my head about it. But at the end of the day, like the world, the world is continuing to turn. I'm still scheduling, like the posts are still that I scheduled are still going out and I'm still getting engagement. So it's like one of those things where it's like even challenging my beliefs about what I believe. And this is an important distinction for anyone who is struggling with like social media and keeping up for the algorithm and trying to be like this consistent being. Like, yes, consistency is important, but not at the expense of like your being's health and well-being. um, so if you find yourself, like for me, and this is what's given me grace as I slowly come back online, whenever I start thinking about the fact that I should respond back to the post because of X, Y, or Z, I catch myself saying should. And then I turn around and I ask myself, do you want to respond back to these posts? And for me, the question has been like, especially checking in with my cycle, I genuinely want to. However, life is in session. And not only do I have a bunch of social media notifications to come, like to respond back to, I have actual emails for like other things. I have text messages that people sent me. Like there's a whole gamut of communication systems that I feel are more important in this at this juncture than responding back to a comment that was just, you know, kind of put there. So it's one of those things where, okay, I want to, and then I check in. And so like, if you are a generator energy type, like check in with yourself, check in with your sacral, because yes, I want to. And is this the right time to do that? No, it is not, because I have so many other things that are going to lead to so many more things. Like I'm applying for speaking opportunities. I'm, you know, more podcast, like all of that stuff. And so you have to kind of weigh, first you have to catch yourself in the shoulds, and then you have to weigh the importance of what you're doing and the want to. Like if you want to do it, fine. But if you're just doing it because you think that, like I said, so for me, like it's been really liberating to see that the world, like it's been liberating to prove my brain wrong, because my brain has all of this, all of the master classes that I went to, the year-long business coaching program that I was in, all of the courses, like it has all of this marketing knowledge that's like, if you don't do it, the algorithm will punish you. And it's like, this is like validation for my brain, a way for me to get to that internal groundedness of like, oh, actually, the world didn't stop turning because I didn't I didn't get onto this platform and respond back to these things. And it's funny because when we shift our perspective about like the intention, I love that you brought that up too, because my intent, and this comes up with my lives, because every week I do lives on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And I talk about the planetary transits and how they're activating certain things in our conscious sun and earth gates, and how that shows up for us. And of course, right, vanity metrics, I want people there live. Like, of course I want it. I want people commenting. I want people being like, oh, I saw this in my chart. But at the end of the day, especially because I don't necessarily announce when I'm about to go live. I just kind of do it. I like I used to plan lives and, you know, promote them, but now I just kind of do it. And so because I know, right, because my marketing brain knows, like, if you want people to show up live, you have to market whatever it is. I just think of it as like, and this is the intent. I'm like, if you show up live and you get the information live, cool, great. If you don't, then this is just, you know, like a public recording session. That's how I look at it. It's a public recording session because I have the knowledge that the intent is I want to get the information out there. So I already know that as I go live, I'm going to download the video, I'm going to cut it up into shorts, and then those shorts will get people the information that they need. Do I
Right.
need 100 people viewing live? For like, no, I don't. And so the intent is like what's super important. And so when you think about like posting and things like that, like even I even had to change my perspective of the way I view the algorithm, because if I'm if I'm just trying for like impressions and engagement and likes, and I've found in this not getting back to things that actually, like, I had avoided TikTok for so long, but that's actually the place where I'm doing really well right now. And I was like, oh, that's a surprise. Like, I'll go to TikTok for my vanity metrics because they're there, like 1000%. But when I think about the like the meaning, the intent, what I like, of course, we all as humans, we want to know that our things are seen and that they're liked and whatnot. And so like I do like, well, not so much this week because I'm still slowly coming back online, but like before I hit unplug, like I'll check to see like if there are likes or comments or whatever. And if there aren't, then I give myself the grace of like, okay, that's fine, because I ultimately know what I'm doing. Like, it's not about the post itself necessarily. It's about the person who I meet at a networking event and I connect with them on wherever they're active, whether that's LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, like any of the ones. And they liked me enough as a person that they want to now go see what I'm putting out to the world. And so they will then be able to see this history of me showing up consistently. And if they resonate with what I'm saying in person, they'll resonate with the videos. And that's what's important. What's important is that people are seeing you and your gift and they're getting an understanding of who you are. Whether they press a button or not, that doesn't matter necessarily. Like, are they getting the information? And so like everything that you're speaking to, like external validation versus internal groundedness, the intent, like all of these things are yes. Like
Yeah,
so much yes.
I love it. There's something when you were talking that because I love our dynamic, because we hit these so different demographics, and age wise, in other ways too, but age wise specifically. And it's been interesting to me as of late because I'm an observer. So sometimes I'm a little slow to coming back online because I'm like looking at the trends. Because I've worked with clients who have had social media companies, who've had big followings, who've had small followings, and everything in between. And what I find interesting is that the authentic piece is starting to become the validation. Are we really being authentic? Because there's been so much creative juices, I guess, that have been going on in social media that make things seem like they're reality, but they're not really reality. So there you have it. And what I'm finding really interesting is that my age demographic, you're starting to see a lot more of us come online. And TikTok has been a major factor for that. So, I mean, obviously, I'm a Gen Xer and I'm very proud of it. I don't make any qualms about it. I am not a boomer, so not that old. So if you guys think my age demographic is a boomer, check your demographics. But I'm just joking with you. But the funny thing is I'm starting to see, because I'm kind of on that side of TikTok, and we joke about our childhood and things like that a lot. But what you also see is that, at least in my perspective, we're pretty who we are. Like, we don't really change for anybody. And that's just kind of who we are as a generation anyways. But what I'm finding more now is I'm starting to see us trickle back into some of the other social medias in long form content, podcasts, and things like that. And we're here dropping like nuggets and bombshells of wisdom. And I think for many of us, it doesn't matter what age you are, social media is daunting. at best. Like, there is so many platforms you could be on. You could put out enough tweets all day to boggle somebody's mind and do enough TikTok dancing to boggle somebody's mind and still not get anywhere. And, you know, algorithms change, narratives change, businesses change, all kinds of stuff, strategies change. And what I'm finding that I think is, at least for in my opinion, is one of the best trends that I'm starting to see is this authenticity piece. People just coming on, and that's one of the things with this podcast that we wanted to keep it very real. So we don't usually talk about what we're going to talk about prior to getting on. We just are like wherever we're at. And so we were both talking about prior to this about our book. So that's another episode. So check that episode out. We were also talking about, like, you know, we've had our birthdays and we kind of unplugged for a little while, and like, you know, was like, it's that whole, like, if you could see me, like, I'm like, do we want to plug back in? Do we not want to plug back in? Do we want to plug back in? You know, it's like, do we, don't we, do we, don't we, do we, don't we, you know, we're playing that game with ourselves because it can be overwhelming. And so I just want to encourage people that are especially my age demographic. You got some wisdom up here between these ears, and we need to be sharing that a lot more. And so I encourage you to find a platform, pick one, like just pick one. Like, if it's TikTok, cool. You don't have to dance. You can just tell stories. You know, that I find that kind of fun. You know, long form content, you can tell stories, you can come on podcasts. If you want to be a guest on our podcast, let us know, and we can invite you to come join us on our podcast. If you want us on your podcast, we'll definitely do that as well too. So either separately or together, but put that plug out there. So, you know, I find that, you know, it's no longer about, it is about vanity metrics to some extent, but I think there's getting to be more of this, like, are we human? Like, are we really, really humans? Or are, you know, because being a business owner, I get so tired of my emails, my DMs. Oh, I can make you 6 figures in less than 60 days. BS. Sorry. I've known a lot of business owners and very few of them have been able to do that. So come at me with something different. You know, come at me with, hey, I really like this topic that you said on your social media. You know, why did you experience that? Or how did you experience, like, have a conversation, like legit conversations. And that's what I encourage people to do, is don't just stick it with like your post. It does come down to the conversations. Like, I'm not a big, like, I love to scroll TikTok, to just mindlessly scroll and drink a glass of wine. You know, that it gets funnier and funnier as you're doing that. But I also like when somebody posts something that's really legitimately good, or they're really trying to help people, and I want to encourage them to do that. You know, just saying and making the comment is what I feel sometimes is the best use of my time. And I find sometimes I get more followers just because I posted something on somebody else's feed than on my own. So, and because I haven't posted anything on TikTok in like a year, because, you know, that's just not my platform of choice. I enjoy it for entertainment, and that's about it. But maybe I should do more on it, but I haven't gotten there yet. So got to pull off part of the mask there to do that. But no, I'm just kidding. Diamond knows what I'm talking about. But you know, but I encourage people to like find where their platform is and use that. So if it, like, Facebook is, you know, kind of been kind of coming back in my purview lately, and weirdly enough. And, you know, but I mean, I have a lot of conversations in the DMs, and I don't post on there very often either, but it's having the conversations. And that's what I want to encourage people, is have the authentic conversations. You know, don't do the whole, and we were talking about this, don't do the whole like spammy, what is that? Spammy whammy, whatever it was called. There was some name that people came up with a few years ago. Don't be that spammy person, like, especially on your birthday. Like, don't send people, oh, for your birthday, get 20% off my product. I don't give a shit about your product on my birthday. I've already got my birthday gifts. I don't want anything else, you know. It's like, don't send that stuff, but say, you know, like, I've had a few people with my birthday, they're like, hey, did you do anything special with your family and your kids? Like, I'll respond to that. Like, I'll tell you, you know, no, I didn't do anything. I love to keep my birthday low key. And, you know, I just hung out with my kids and my husband. But when somebody says, did you spend time with your family and your kids? I know that they paid attention, that they know I have kids, and that's what's important to me. And they've seen that, because I'm having trouble with that word, authenticity has come through. And so people know that, and I know that. So I want those conversations. So for me, like, I am hoping that social media can be used as a really good tool for people to communicate, but don't let it be the only form of communication, because like humans need humans. Like, we are creatures of that need people. And so use the platforms you need to use. Don't get bogged down with it. If you got to unplug, because you can always plug back in. That's my opinion. And it for some people, it may make or break their business, but I have yet to see somebody that it really breaks their business by, staying offline for a couple of days. Use an app to program it all, like schedule it ahead of time. Nobody even knows. I knew Diamond was gone just because I knew she was going to be gone for her birthday, but she still was everywhere on social media. And I made that statement. I'm like, girl, you've been everywhere on social media, like for days, and you're not even there. So you don't have to be on it all the time and be consumed by it. Just use it as a tool to communicate and to love on people. That's what I think social media should be, is a tool to love on people. So love on people with your words kindly.
I love that. Yeah, that's exactly like what you were saying. The meaningful DMs, not the spammy ones. Because I even said it, like there are a few times where people are reaching out. Like I remember somebody that I was at university with. He reached out to me, and he was a little lost, and he's currently working at a movie theater, and he was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the block is. And I was like, well, we can have a phone call. Like, here's my number. Like, what's going on? And we found out that he's a projector. So one, he's trying to keep up with the hustle and grind of everybody who he's around, and that's not aligned for him. And then also he has an undefined G center, which is like where we find our sense of love, identity, and direction. So of course you don't know who you are. You're supposed to sample different, and so even in him knowing that, he was able to have some comfort, like, oh, I'm not wrong for being me. And so those are the conversations that I live for. Like,
absolutely,
love on people. So
right.
yes, I echo that.
Well, and I think that's a cool thing to bring up, because when you were talking about that, I was thinking about my own contract. That for me, and when I say this, it's going to come across wrong, so I know to our listeners it's going to sound weird, but one of my numbers is more of like a chameleon number. So in my human design, I'm a reactor. And so for me, sometimes with social media, I can't always plan. Like, I'm not a plan, like I am a planner by nature, but when I plan, it doesn't always work, because I need to react to what's currently at hand. And so that is one of the things, like with this podcast, I've been finding joy with it, because we kind of are just in the moment and in the flow, because it's none of this is scripted at all, which is kind of fun to me. But and now that I'm kind of thinking about it, like a lot of the things that I need to do need to be more unscripted. Like, they need to be on a plan, but to some degree, but unscripted. But when we catch ourselves out of alignment with what our contracts say or what our design is, that's when we find that resistance. And I know for me with social media, it has been a resistance, because I've been out of alignment with it. So like in the past, I had a business and I did social media by the algorithms, by the book. I did it all the way I was supposed to. And I grew a business really successfully and I had a blast with it. But I was so out of alignment. It was exhausting. And it made me sick as hell. I had a whole lot of health issues from it. And I promised myself I would never do that again. And so now finding how that works within your own design and within your own contracts and all those kind of things, I think is a beautiful place to be. And so him just making that realization to say, hey, something's off. And if you're saying to yourself something's off with social media, it's off. Like, you need to be off. Like, I'm just going to tell you, like, you need to be off until you figure out why, because there's something out of alignment with it. And you don't have to post the things your company tells you to post. You don't have to, do this, that, because some guru said to do it. But if it's not in alignment with who you are and what you want to put out into the world, then just unplug for a minute and figure out why. And if you need help with that, let us know. So there you go. That's my 2 cents on social media.
Very valuable insights. I'm sure this won't be the first or the last time we unplug and have this conversation. Because we evolve, we grow. Like the things that we're saying right now may resonate very deeply with some people who might be battling what I was battling for a really long time until this recent unplug is like, oh my God, like I know too much about marketing to not do these things. And it was like this cloud over me, like cloud over, however you want to phrase the metaphor, cloud over me, shackles on my feet, like whatever, like because I just was like in the shoulds so heavy. And it's like, no, like does it light you up or not? Like
Yeah.
that's what's important.
Well, and I know nothing about marketing. I have no marketing background, and I've always just like followed what people told me to do. And I'm not really good at taking orders, obviously. The Gen Xers don't take orders really well. So like it never worked. Like the things like duplicating never worked. But that's not a part of my human design at all. Like I don't really fit into other people's patterns or systems. I have to create my own, and I have to react to whatever is going on currently at the time. And that's how I work. And if I don't do that, I'm not in alignment. And with social media, it's been out of alignment for a long time. And so I've felt shackled at times because I'm like, I don't know enough about marketing. Well, if I did, I would be doing all the things wrong anyway. So why not know about it and still do things wrong, but enjoy the process. That's the fun part of it. And we'll probably come back around in 6 months and be like, hey, we're doing this on social media, and we'll have it in alignment. But it's one of those things that's like, if it's not working, then unplug.
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome. Well, this was a fun episode. It was kind of laid back. I loved it. So
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll see you guys on the next episode. We have no idea what the topic's going to be at this time, but I'm sure it'll be full of a lot of juicy wisdom and gems that we can share with you, or diamonds, as we say around here. We have lots of diamonds in the rough going on in our neck of the woods, but we do appreciate our listeners for coming and taking a listen to us. If you want to reach out to Diamond or I, all of the information will be in the show notes. And we hope to see you on the next episode of the Unnamed Podcast at this time.
I love that. All right. Until next time.